Jimin wipes Jungkook's tears after a grueling workout. His unexpected answer reveals a secret that leaves Jungkook breathless and stunned. Jimin wiped away Jungkook's tears after a strenuous workout, but when asked why, Jimin's answer made Jungkook almost lose his breath. "Don't cry," Jimin's voice cut through the pounding of Jungkook's heart, but it wasn't gentle, it was precise, urgent, as if commanding both the tears and the storm within. Jungkook gasped, his chest heaving from more than just the relentless treadmill. Sweat slicked his hair to his forehead, his muscles trembling from a grueling set that had pushed him to the edge of collapse. Yet it wasn't exhaustion that made the tears fall, it was the weight of all the hidden fears, the relentless pressure he never allowed anyone to see. Jimin's hand was suddenly on his cheek, fingertips brushing away the tears with a tenderness Jungkook had never expected. The warmth of that touch contrasted sharply with the icy sting of self-reproach he felt for breaking down in front of anyone, even him. Why are you doing this?" Jungkook choked out, voice raw, throat tight, each word a struggle against the flood of emotions he had long buried. Jimin's eyes were steady, dark, with an intensity that made Jungkook's heart skip. "Because no one else should see you like this and feel alone," he whispered, leaning closer, his breath brushing Jungkook's temple. The words were simple, almost mundane, but the gravity in them hit Jungkook harder than any punch or training drill ever could. He wanted to laugh, to shake it off, but the quiver in his lips betrayed him. Memories he had fought to lock away surfaced, the relentless critiques, the sleepless nights, the constant chase for perfection that never satisfied him. And now, someone understood. Someone had seen through the carefully constructed mask and hadn't flinched. The gym around them faded, the clanking of weights, the hum of fluorescent lights, the faint scent of rubber mats, all reduced to a blurry periphery. Jimin's presence anchored him. There was a protective force in the way he stood, a quiet confidence that said, "I've got you." Jungkook's mind spun. This wasn't just care, it was recklessness, a vulnerability that Jimin willingly embraced, and that terrified him more than anything else. Could someone really hold your fragility without it becoming a weapon against you? Jimin let go, but his gaze didn't waver. "You think you have to carry everything by yourself, but you don't. Not with me." The statement wasn't flirtatious, it wasn't casual, it was a promise disguised as simple words, yet it struck Jungkook in ways he couldn't articulate. He staggered backward slightly, trying to catch his breath, both physically and emotionally. Every nerve ending felt alive, electric with a sensation he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. His fists clenched, not in anger, but in an instinctive need to ground himself. "You always know," Jungkook murmured, half to himself, half to Jimin, who merely tilted his head with a faint, unreadable smile. There was history there, 1,000 unspoken battles and shared moments that neither had fully acknowledged. A silent understanding passed between them, a fragile acknowledgement that some truths were too heavy to carry alone, yet some burdens were lighter when shared. The air thickened with a tension that was more than physical. It was emotional gravity, pulling at their cores, challenging boundaries, testing trust. Jungkook's breath came in uneven bursts, his vision swimming not from fatigue, but from the intensity of connection he had avoided for so long. Jimin finally stepped back, letting the heat of the moment linger, allowing the silence to carry its own weight. There was no need to speak further. The unspoken language of understanding, of raw humanity, filled the space. Jungkook realized that sometimes the most profound strength wasn't measured in endurance or skill, but in the courage to let someone in. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't want to turn away. The night air was thick, with the smell of rain on asphalt as Jungkook stumbled out of the gym, still trembling from the intensity of both his workout and Jimin's touch. He wrapped his arms around himself, trying to chase away the lingering warmth, but it clung stubbornly, like smoke curling around his skin. "You're still trembling," Jimin's voice came from behind, soft, teasing, yet edged with something deeper, a hint of danger and desire. Jungkook froze, caught off guard. How had Jimin followed him? He had left the gym thinking he had a moment alone, a chance to compose himself, but Jimin's presence erased any illusion of privacy. "I'm fine," Jungkook stammered, looking away, refusing to meet the gaze that seemed to pierce through every carefully constructed wall he had built around himself. "Bullshit," Jimin said sharply, stepping closer until the space between them crackled. "You're a mess, and I don't like it when you lie to me." His hand found Jungkook's wrist, firm, unyielding, drawing him into an unspoken challenge. Jungkook's pulse accelerated, not from anger, but from the sheer magnetic tension that seemed to pull them together like an invisible thread. "I'm not a mess," Jungkook whispered, though the tremor in his voice betrayed him. He hated the way Jimin could see through him so easily, like he was both invincible and fragile at the same time. "You're lying to yourself too," Jimin countered, his tone softer now, almost intimate, "and it's exhausting watching you fight it alone." There was a dangerous undertone, a mixture of concern and something far more personal, intimate, that made Jungkook swallow hard. Jungkook's chest tightened. He wanted to push Jimin away to maintain control, but his legs refused to move. Every instinct screamed at him to resist, yet every nerve demanded surrender. Why do you care so much?" His voice cracked, vulnerability spilling over, raw and uncontrolled. Jimin's expression darkened, almost predatory, but there was warmth in his eyes, a promise of protection. "Because someone has to," he said simply, then leaned in close, his lips brushing the shell of Jungkook's ear. "And you're going to let me, whether you like it or not." Jungkook shivered, half from the wet chill of the night, half from the heat that Jimin's proximity ignited. His mind raced, a tornado of guilt, desire, and fear. You can't just waltz into my life," and he broke off, unable to finish the sentence. He realized there was no fight left in him, not when Jimin's gaze burned into his soul with an intensity he hadn't thought possible. "You're weak," Jimin whispered, almost teasing, yet the underlying tone was a razor's edge. "Weak, but not hopeless. I can fix that, I can fix you." The words made Jungkook's stomach twist. Fix him? No one had ever dared speak to him like that, not with such audacity, not with such terrifying intimacy. "I'm not broken," Jungkook protested, though his voice was quieter now, more a plea than defiance. Jimin tilted his head, studying him like a puzzle he was determined to solve. "Everyone's broken in some way, you just hide it better than most." His hand slid to Jungkook's neck, brushing a lock of wet hair aside, and Jungkook felt the heat spike in his chest. "But you're fragile in ways I want to explore." Jungkook's breath caught. There was danger in those words, a scandalous thrill that made every rational thought scatter. His body reacted before his mind could intervene, leaning just slightly closer, drawn by the intensity, the raw honesty, the promise of a world he had denied himself. "You think you know me?" Jungkook asked, voice low, almost challenging, though his eyes betrayed the storm inside. "I know enough," Jimin replied, voice low, magnetic, almost a growl. "Enough to see that you need someone to stare back at the parts of you you're too scared to admit even exist." The rain started falling harder, drumming against the asphalt, mingling with their ragged breaths. They were soaked, but neither moved away. Instead, Jimin leaned even closer, their foreheads nearly touching. The tension was unbearable, thick and heavy, yet electrifying, a mix of fear, desire, and something dangerously intoxicating. Jungkook's hands trembled at his sides. He wanted to pull away, wanted to scream that this was impossible, but every instinct, every nerve screamed to stay, to see where this could go, to trust Jimin, even when logic screamed no. "I should leave," Jungkook muttered, almost to himself, his voice fragile. "Leave," Jimin laughed softly, a sound that was equal parts amusement and challenge, "and deny yourself the chance to finally feel alive." "No, Jungkook, not tonight." The world around them blurred, the streetlights casting reflections on wet asphalt, the wind whipping rain through their hair. The distant hum of the city, but their bubble remained unbroken, a universe suspended in tension and unspoken words. Then Jimin smiled, a slow, deliberate curve that made Jungkook's chest tighten with a dangerous, forbidden longing. "Tonight," he said, "we stop hiding. Tonight, you'll see what it's like to be known, not just seen." Jungkook's heart pounded, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. He had spent years running from himself, from desire, from connection. And now, standing in the rain, with Jimin inches away, he realized that maybe surrender wasn't weakness. it was the only way to survive the storm inside him. And he didn't move. He let the rain soak him, let Jimin's gaze strip away every pretense, every mask. For the first time, he felt exposed, alive, and terrifyingly free. The elevator doors slid shut with a metallic sigh, trapping Jungkook and Jimin in a space smaller than a heartbeat, yet heavy enough to crush them with the weight of unspoken truths. Jungkook pressed his back against the wall, feeling the heat radiating off Jimin, every inch of proximity, a dangerous temptation he couldn't escape. "You really think you can handle this?" Jimin's voice was low, teasing, but threaded with an intensity that made Jungkook's knees weak. His eyes glimmered in the dim light, sharp, predatory, yet intimate. "Me, this, everything you've been running from." I don't know," Jungkook admitted, voice hoarse, chest tight. He wanted to argue, to retreat, but every nerve screamed against retreat. Every rational thought crumbled as Jimin stepped closer, their breaths mingling, the elevator walls a cage and a sanctuary all at once. "You never do," Jimin murmured, letting a hand trail along Jungkook's arm, deliberately slow, electric. "But that's why I like you." Jungkook's pulse spiked. "Like me, you barely know me." "I know enough," Jimin countered, a smirk playing at his lips. "Enough to see what scares you, what excites you, what you pretend doesn't exist, and I won't let you hide it from me." His hand found Jungkook's jaw, tilting his face upward. Their eyes locked, and for a moment the elevator's cramped walls vanished. They were alone in a world that existed only for this dangerous, forbidden intimacy. "You're insane," Jungkook breathed, half shocked, half yearning. "Maybe," Jimin whispered, leaning closer so that their foreheads brushed. "Or maybe I'm the only one who's honest with you. Tell me, Jungkook, do you want honesty or the illusion you cling to?" Jungkook swallowed hard, his lips parting, heart hammering against his ribcage. He wanted both and neither, trapped in a contradiction he hadn't allowed himself to acknowledge. He started, then faltered. His hands shook slightly as they reached toward Jimin, almost involuntarily, drawn by something stronger than reason. "SHH," Jimin soothed, pressing a finger to Jungkook's lips. "Don't speak, just feel." The elevator jolted slightly, a reminder of the world outside, but Jungkook didn't move. He was caught in the magnetic pull, the dangerous gravity of Jimin's presence. Heat pooled in his chest, a delicious ache, and fear mingled with desire in a cocktail that left him dizzy. "You don't know what you're doing to me," Jungkook admitted finally, voice barely a whisper. "I do," Jimin said, a slow smile spreading across his face, dark and mischievous. "And I like it. I like seeing you unravel, piece by piece. It tells me the parts of you nobody else will ever touch." Jungkook's chest tightened painfully. He wanted to run, wanted to scream that this was too much, too fast, but his body betrayed him, leaning instinctively into Jimin's warmth. "You're dangerous," he breathed, lips trembling. "I could get hurt." "Only if you resist," Jimin replied, eyes locking with his, unwavering, magnetic. "But maybe that's what makes this fun. You hiding, me chasing, the game, and no one knows the rules except us." The tension in the elevator thickened, heavy and oppressive. Jungkook's mind screamed rationality, logic, escape, but his heart, his body screamed surrender. Their hands brushed, deliberately, teasingly, until Jungkook's fingers trembled against Jimin's. "You want this?" Jimin's whisper was a knife wrapped in velvet. "I don't know," Jungkook admitted again, voice broken, raw. His body said yes, but his mind argued, tangled in fear and desire, morality and longing. Jimin smirked, leaning so close their breaths mingled, his lips ghosting over Jungkook's ear. "Then let me decide for you." Before Jungkook could protest, Jimin pressed forward, capturing his lips in a kiss that was both claim and question, a fiery collision that left Jungkook reeling. His hands tangled in Jimin's hair, pulling him closer, even as panic and desire warred in equal measure. The kiss was scorching, raw, a mix of tenderness and fire that neither of them could deny. When they finally pulled back, gasping, the elevator felt impossibly small, the air electric. Jungkook's forehead rested against Jimin's chest, heart racing uncontrollably. This is crazy," he whispered, voice trembling. "I like crazy," Jimin replied, his lips brushing the top of Jungkook's head. "It suits us, it suits you." Jungkook's mind spun, Every rule he had lived by, every boundary he had built around himself, shattered in the space of a few breaths. And yet, he didn't want to rebuild them. He wanted to fall, to crash, to burn, and maybe, just maybe, to be saved in Jimin's arms. The elevator dinged, signaling the ground floor. Reality crashed back, and Jungkook reluctantly pulled away, breathing unevenly, heart still hammering. We shouldn't," he murmured, though his body still leaned dangerously close. "Shouldn't," Jimin echoed, eyes glinting with mischief and something darker. "Right, but who said we follow rules?" And as the doors slid open, Jungkook realized that his life had already changed. Rules no longer mattered. Desire, fear, secrets, they all collided in a storm that neither of them could, or wanted to, escape. Jungkook's apartment smelled of faint incense and the remnants of the coffee Jimin had insisted on making when he first arrived, though neither had touched it. The air between them was electric, thick with a tension neither dared to name aloud. Jungkook leaned against the wall, trying to reclaim some composure, but the warmth of Jimin's body a few steps away made it impossible. "You never let anyone in," Jimin said, voice low, teasing, yet threaded with something sharper, more intimate. "And now here I am. You're supposed to push me away." I can't," Jungkook admitted, voice barely audible. His pulse raced, heat pooling in his chest, a mixture of fear and something dangerously sweet. "You make it impossible." Jimin's lips curved into a knowing smile. "That's the point." He stepped closer, letting his hand hover near Jungkook's arm, trailing lightly, deliberately. Jungkook shivered despite himself, feeling the electricity in every brush of skin. "You're reckless," Jungkook whispered, heart hammering. "You don't even know what you're getting into." Jimin tilted his head, his gaze dark, challenging. "Maybe, or maybe I do, and I like it." He leaned in, close enough that Jungkook could feel the warmth of his breath, smell the faint scent of his cologne, clean, sharp, intoxicating. "You think I'm afraid of fire?" Jungkook stopped, words failing. He wanted to argue to maintain control, but his body betrayed him, leaning subtly closer. I don't know what I'm doing either." "That's fine," Jimin murmured, brushing his thumb against Jungkook's jaw. "Neither do I, but I know I don't want to run. Not from you, not from this." He pressed closer, and Jungkook's heart stuttered violently. The room seemed to shrink around them, the tension so thick it was almost tangible. What if," Jungkook's voice faltered, eyes darting to the floor, then back to Jimin's steady, unyielding gaze. "What if I'm not what you want? What if I break?" "You think I care about perfection?" Jimin asked, incredulous, dark amusement in his tone. "I care about you, all of you, the messy, the scared, the broken. That's the part I want." Jungkook's chest tightened. He wanted to pull away, scream, hide, but instead he let a shudder escape, leaning ever so slightly into Jimin's touch. "I've never let anyone see this side of me," he admitted, voice trembling. "The side that's scared, desperate, that wants." He couldn't finish. Words failed him, caught in the knot of desire and fear. Jimin's lips brushed his ear, soft, teasing, electrifying. "Wants what?" His voice was a whisper, intimate, dangerous. "Say it." I want to feel, to stop pretending," Jungkook finally breathed, shivering under the intensity of the moment. "I want to be free." "You already are," Jimin replied, voice low, magnetic, letting a hand slide to the small of Jungkook's back. "You just didn't know it." The words hit him like a punch and a caress all at once, leaving him reeling. Jungkook's hands trembled, his fingers brushing against Jimin's chest. The heat between them was unbearable, the pull undeniable. "You're dangerous," he whispered, lips trembling. "And you love it," Jimin countered, a wicked grin curving his lips. "Admit it, you've been craving someone to see you like this, someone who isn't afraid of it." Jungkook's chest rose and fell rapidly. The truth burned like fire on his tongue, raw and exposed. "I do," he confessed, voice barely audible. "I've never wanted anyone like this before." Jimin's eyes softened, but the intensity remained. "Good," he murmured, brushing a strand of hair from Jungkook's face. "Because I've wanted you from the moment I saw you, before you even knew you wanted me." The confession struck Jungkook in ways words could never contain. Desire, fear, and relief collided, leaving him breathless. He wanted to deny it, push back, protect himself, but he couldn't. The walls he had built crumbled in the heat of Jimin's gaze, in the pressure of his touch. I shouldn't, Jungkook began, voice weak, faltering. SHH, Jimin hushed, silencing him with a finger on his lips. Not tonight. Tonight isn't about shoulds. Tonight is about us, about truth, about fire. Jungkook's breath hitched. The room felt smaller, the air denser, alive with tension and heat. He could feel Jimin's heartbeat against his own, a frantic, delicious rhythm that mirrored his own. And if it burns, he whispered. Then we burn together, Jimin replied, lips brushing Jungkook's temple. And when the fire dies, we'll be the only ones left standing. Jungkook's knees weakened. He wanted to collapse into Jimin's arms, surrender to the storm, but fear and desire wrestled in equal measure. The words, the touch, the confession, it was too much, yet he couldn't pull away. Jimin leaned closer, lips hovering near Jungkook, and whispered, "Do you trust me?" Jungkook's eyes fluttered shut. "Yes," he breathed, surrendering fully, heart racing, mind spinning. And in that moment, every secret, every fear, every longing collided in a storm of heat and emotion. They were exposed, vulnerable, unguarded, and for the first time, Jungkook realized he didn't want to hide anymore. The world outside could wait. The night belonged to them, to fire, to desire, and to the dangerous, intoxicating truth that neither could deny. The city lights flickered against the rain-soaked windows of Jimin's apartment, painting the room in harsh streaks of neon red and gold. Jungkook sat on the edge of the couch, sleeves soaked from the sudden downpour outside, heart still hammering from the encounter earlier. Every nerve in his body screamed, his chest tight with the memory of Jimin's touch, every whisper, every heated glance. "You've been quiet," Jimin said, leaning casually against the doorway, water dripping from the collar of his shirt. His gaze was sharp, assessing, dangerous, thoughts racing. Jungkook's lips parted, but no words came. His throat was dry, mind flooded with conflicting emotions. I can't stop thinking about last night," he admitted finally, voice low, almost a growl. "Everything you said, everything you did." Jimin smirked, stepping closer, letting the distance between them shrink until the tension was unbearable. "Everything I did?" he asked, teasing, yet there was a dangerous edge in his tone. "Careful, Jungkook, you might say too much." I don't know what's happening to me," Jungkook confessed, frustration and desire lacing his words. "I've never felt like this before. I've never let someone see this side of me." His hands fisted at his sides, trying to ground himself against the pull Jimin exerted. "That's the point," Jimin said, voice low, intoxicating. "I want to see it all, the fire, the fear, the longing you try to hide. I like it when you're raw, when you're exposed." He leaned in, close enough for their breaths to mingle, and Jungkook felt his body betray him, leaning in without conscious thought. "You're reckless," Jungkook whispered, lips trembling. "You don't even realize how dangerous this is." "Dangerous," Jimin's smirk widened, dangerous and magnetic. "Maybe, or maybe it's exactly what you need." His hand brushed against Jungkook's thigh, deliberate, igniting a fire that pulsed through every vein. Jungkook's knees went weak, and he leaned back slightly, caught between resistance and surrender. I shouldn't," Jungkook stammered, but the words were meaningless. Desire was clawing through his rationality, and Jimin knew it, knew exactly how to push, how to tempt, how to unravel him piece by piece. "Shouldn't what?" Jimin countered, voice low, teasing yet urgent. "Tell me, Jungkook, or are you afraid you'll like the answer too much?" Jungkook's chest heaved. I don't want to be weak." "Weak?" Jimin laughed softly, brushing a wet strand of hair from Jungkook's forehead. "This isn't weakness, it's being alive, feeling, letting someone in. You've been pretending for too long." He stepped even closer, hand tracing Jungkook's jawline, and Jungkook's breath hitched. "And trust me, pretending hasn't served you well." Jungkook's words caught, his body reacting before his mind could intervene. He leaned slightly closer, drawn to the warmth, the danger, the intoxicating presence Jimin carried. "I've never let anyone touch me like this, not emotionally, not physically, not like you." "That's what I like," Jimin whispered, lips hovering near Jungkook's. "The fact that I make you feel, make you vulnerable, make you question yourself, that's why you can't resist me." Jungkook's hands shook slightly as they found their way to Jimin's chest, fingers digging into fabric, grounding himself even as his body betrayed him completely. "You're insane," he breathed, voice low, yet charged with something hotter than fear. "And you love it," Jimin replied, eyes dark with desire. "Admit it, Jungkook, you've wanted someone to see the real you, someone who isn't afraid of it." Jungkook's breath hitched. "I do," he whispered, voice trembling. "I've wanted it, I've wanted you." Jimin's smile was wicked, slow, deliberate, like a predator savoring the moment before the kill. "Good, because I've wanted you from the moment I saw you, and now you can't run." His hand slid down, gripping Jungkook's hip, drawing him closer until there was no escape, only fire. Jungkook's lips parted, heart hammering, mind spinning, trapped between fear, desire, and the intoxicating thrill of surrender. This is insane," he admitted, voice raw. "Maybe," Jimin murmured, brushing his lips along Jungkook's ear, "or maybe it's exactly where you belong." The words ignited something deep, scorching, leaving Jungkook gasping. The tension exploded, raw and undeniable. They moved closer, caught in a storm of heat and emotion, neither willing to step back. Desire, fear, secrets, they collided in a frenzy of passion and confession. Jungkook realized that he had been hiding for years, from himself, from everyone. And now, in Jimin's presence, he didn't want to hide anymore. "You're going to regret this," Jungkook whispered, trembling, body alive with sensation. "Regret what?" Jimin countered, smirk dangerous, eyes burning. "Regret letting go." He captured Jungkook's lips in a kiss that was both claim and temptation, a whirlwind of fire and heat that left them both reeling. Jungkook's hands tangled in Jimin's hair, pulling him closer despite the chaos in his chest. I don't know what I'm doing," he admitted between gasps. "Good," Jimin whispered against his lips, "because neither do I, and that's what makes this perfect." For the first time, Jungkook let go of control, of fear, of every carefully guarded wall. He surrendered to the fire, the chaos, the dangerous pull of Jimin's presence. And in that surrender, he found something he hadn't felt in years, alive, unbroken, and fiercely, terrifyingly free. The apartment was dark, lit only by the trembling city lights filtering through rain-streaked windows. Jungkook paced, every step restless, every breath uneven. His chest burned with anticipation, fear, and something dangerously close to obsession. Jimin leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching him with an intensity that made Jungkook's pulse hammer against his ribs. "You're packing like a caged animal," Jimin said, voice low, teasing, yet edged with something sharper, more intimate. "What's going on inside that head of yours?" I don't know," Jungkook admitted, shoulders tense, fingers clenching at his sides. "Everything feels wrong, but right at the same time." His eyes darted toward Jimin, voice trembling, as if seeking approval or forgiveness he didn't deserve. Jimin stepped forward, slow, deliberate, letting his presence fill the room until the air felt electric. "Wrong and right. That's exactly why you can't resist me," he said, voice dripping with dark amusement. "You're scared, yes. Excited, yes. Confused, yes. But it doesn't matter because I'm here." Jungkook's knees weakened, and he sank onto the edge of the sofa, head in his hands. "You make me feel things I don't even understand," he whispered, voice raw. I've never wanted anyone like this before." Jimin crouched slightly, his hand brushing a strand of wet hair from Jungkook's forehead. "And yet you're staring at me like you've already surrendered," he murmured. His thumb traced the line of Jungkook's jaw, and the contact was electric, igniting a fire Jungkook couldn't resist. "Tell me, Jungkook, what are you afraid of?" "I'm afraid," Jungkook admitted, voice trembling, "that I'll fall too hard, that I'll lose control, that you'll leave when you see who I really am." Jimin's eyes softened for a fleeting second, then hardened with intensity. "I don't leave," he said firmly, "not when it matters, not for fear, not for desire, not for anything. I've chased you this far, I'm not stopping now." Jungkook's breath hitched. The heat in the room was suffocating, yet the vulnerability of Jimin's words grounded him in ways he didn't expect. He leaned forward instinctively, brushing their knees together, the electricity between them palpable. "You're reckless," he whispered, lips trembling. "You don't even realize how dangerous you are." "And you love it," Jimin countered, voice low, dangerous, teasing. He pressed closer, and the space between them vanished. Admit it. You've wanted this, wanted me to see you like this, vulnerable, raw. You've been waiting for someone to chase you into the fire. Jungkook's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, to run, but the desire coursing through him made every argument impossible. I can't, I should. His words faltered as Jimin's hand brushed his neck, trailing down to his shoulder, sending shivers through him. Should, Jimin echoed, eyes glinting with dark amusement. Who said rules apply here? Not us, not tonight. His lips hovered dangerously close to Jungkook's, a teasing whisper of heat and temptation. I don't know if I can trust myself, Jungkook admitted, voice breaking. I've never let anyone get this close, and now I feel like I'm falling too fast. Then fall, Jimin said softly, deliberately pressing their foreheads together. Fall with me, let go of control. You've been pretending for too long. Let me see everything, the fear, the desire, the darkness you hide. I won't flinch, I won't leave. Jungkook's fingers trembled as they trailed along Jimin's arm. And if I burn, he whispered, almost a plea. Then we burn together, Jimin replied, voice low, magnetic. And when it's over, we'll see who's left standing. Jungkook's heart raced violently, every rational thought scattered by the intensity of the moment. He wanted to pull back, scream at himself to stop, but he couldn't. The pull, the danger, the desire were irresistible. Jimin pressed closer, their lips almost touching, and Jungkook's knees gave way. He let out a shuddering breath, surrendering to the fire that threatened to consume him entirely. I can't stop thinking about you, he admitted, voice raw and trembling. You've invaded every part of me. And I'll keep invading, Jimin whispered, brushing his lips against Jungkook's temple down the curve of his jaw. Until you learn that this chaos, is where you belong. You wanted danger, desire, intensity. I'll give you everything, even if it scares you. Jungkook's chest heaved as he leaned into the contact, letting go completely, letting himself feel what he had denied for so long. The room was alive with heat, tension, and emotion. Every fear, every longing, every secret collided in a storm he could no longer resist. You're insane, Jungkook whispered, voice trembling. And you love it, Jimin replied, eyes dark and unyielding. Admit it, you've wanted someone like me for years. Jungkook's lips parted, breath shaky, heart racing. I have, he admitted, surrendering fully to the fire, the chaos, the dangerous pull of Jimin's presence. I've wanted you. Jimin's smile was wicked, triumphant, dark and intimate all at once. Good, he whispered, leaning in, capturing Jungkook's lips in a kiss that was both claim and temptation. It was a storm, consuming them both, leaving nothing but fire in its wake. And Jungkook realized, as the world outside faded to nothing, that he didn't want to hide anymore. He didn't want to run, he didn't want control. He only wanted this, danger, desire, and Jimin. The city hummed outside, rain streaking the glass like shards of liquid light, while inside Jimin's apartment, the air was suffocating, charged with unspoken truths. Jungkook sat on the edge of the sofa, shoulders hunched, fingers fidgeting with the hem of his soaked shirt. Every nerve was electric, every muscle taut with anticipation and dread. You're tense, Jimin said, voice low, teasing, yet threaded with something darker, more intimate. He stepped closer, the scent of him, clean, sharp, intoxicating, filling Jungkook's senses. Do you realize how much I can see, how much I know about you already? Jungkook swallowed hard, heat climbing into his chest. I don't know if I should trust you, he admitted, voice trembling. I don't know if I can. Jimin crouched slightly, letting their eyes lock, the intensity of his gaze almost too much to bear. Trust isn't given, Jungkook, he whispered, his hand brushing against Jungkook's thigh, deliberate, incendiary. It's taken, and I intend to take it, from every part of you that's hidden, scared, or broken. I'm not ready, Jungkook breathed, leaning back instinctively, though his body betrayed him, inching closer despite his words. I've never let anyone see this side of me, this mess. Good, Jimin murmured, voice low, almost predatory, because I want the mess. I want the chaos, the fear, the fire you hide. That's the real you, the one nobody else dares to see. He stepped closer, the space between them disappearing until the heat was unbearable. And the truth is, I've never wanted anyone like I want you. Jungkook's chest tightened violently, He wanted to deny it, to pull back, but the pull, the magnetic force Jimin exerted, was irresistible. You're insane, he whispered, lips trembling. And you love it, Jimin countered, smirk curling his lips, eyes dark and intent. You've been craving someone who sees you, all of you, and now I'm here, right in front of you, and you can't run. Jungkook's fingers trembled as they brushed along Jimin's arm, leaning closer despite every rational instinct screaming to stop. I don't know what I'm doing, he admitted, voice raw. I've never felt like this before. That's why it's beautiful, Jimin said softly, thumb brushing against Jungkook's jaw, tracing the line of his face. Because it's new, dangerous, honest, and the fire in you burning, wanting, it scares you, but it should. That's how you know it's real. Jungkook's heart raced, breaths coming in shallow, uneven gasps. He wanted to retreat, to hide, to protect himself, but desire had taken the reins. He leaned in, almost imperceptibly, drawn to Jimin's warmth, his strength, the intensity of his gaze. And if I fall, he whispered. Then we fall together, Jimin replied, voice low, magnetic, lips brushing against Jungkook's ear. And when we hit the ground, we'll know that we're alive, that we've finally felt everything. Jungkook's knees weakened. He let out a shuddering breath, surrendering to the pull, the fire, the heat. I don't want to hide anymore, he admitted, voice raw, shaking. I want this, you. Jimin's lips curved into a slow, wicked smile. Good, he murmured, pressing closer, capturing Jungkook's lips in a kiss that was both claim and temptation, scorching and tender all at once. Their hands tangled, their bodies pressed together, electricity sparking in every nerve ending. The kiss broke, and Jimin's forehead rested against Jungkook's. Do you understand what this is? He asked softly, voice trembling with intensity. It's not just desire, it's chaos, fire, confession, and danger. Every touch, every word, nothing is innocent. Jungkook's words faltered, chest heaving. I don't care, I want it, I want you. Good, Jimin whispered, eyes dark, unyielding. Because tonight nothing else matters, not the world, not rules, not fear, only this, only us. Jungkook's hands shook as they found their way to Jimin's shoulders, pulling him closer. And if it destroys me, he asked, voice low, almost afraid. Then we burn together, Jimin repeated, lips brushing Jungkook's temple. And if we survive, we'll be unstoppable. The tension was unbearable. Every nerve in Jungkook's body felt alive, every breath of fire. Every glance a spark ready to ignite into something uncontrollable. He realized, in that moment, that he didn't want safety, he didn't want calm, he wanted the chaos, the heat, the fire that Jimin brought into his life. And as the storm raged outside, as the city lights flickered across their bodies, Jungkook let go, surrendered completely. He let the desire, the fear, and the longing consume him. And for the first time in years, he felt alive, exposed, and unbreakably, dangerously human. The apartment felt suffocating, even with the windows open to the night, rain lashing against the glass and filling the room with a chaotic rhythm. Jungkook stood by the counter, fingers clenched, body taut. His heart hammered against his chest as he watched Jimin move with an ease that seemed deliberate, predatory, yet intoxicating. You're avoiding me, Jimin said, voice low, teasing but threaded with warning. Why are you so tense? Did something happen today that I don't know about? Jungkook swallowed hard, trying to steady his racing heart. I don't know if I should tell you, he admitted, voice trembling. It's complicated. Jimin's smirk widened, eyes glinting with a dangerous curiosity. Complicated? Perfect. I like complications, especially when they involve you. He stepped closer, each movement deliberate, encroaching into Jungkook's space, igniting a fire he couldn't control. Tell me, or are you afraid I'll judge you? It's not that, Jungkook stammered, throat tight. It's personal and messy, and you might hate me if you know. Try me, Jimin whispered, voice low, magnetic. He brushed a hand along Jungkook's arm, deliberately slow, teasing. I don't scare easily, and you're holding something back, something dangerous. Jungkook's lips parted, a shiver running down his spine at the touch, at the gaze, at the raw intensity in Jimin's eyes. You don't understand, he muttered, voice cracking. Everything I am, everything I've done, it's all complicated, and Stop, Jimin interrupted, cutting him off gently but firmly. I don't care about perfect. I don't care about clean. I care about real, all of it. And right now, the real you is trembling in front of me, scared and trying to fight the fire. But that's what I want, every bit of it. Jungkook's hands shook as they slid down to his sides, fingers brushing against the counter, grounding himself against the heat coursing through him. You're reckless, he whispered, voice low, raw. You don't even realize what you're doing to me. And that's exactly why I do it, Jimin replied, smirk curling into something dangerous and intimate. You can't hide, you can't resist. You've been running for years, Jungkook, but the moment I corner you, the moment you feel that heat, that fire, you realize you don't want to run anymore. Jungkook's chest tightened, his body betrayed him, leaning subtly forward despite the storm of fear and desire raging in his mind. I don't know if I'm ready, he admitted, voice trembling. I've never felt like this before, and You're afraid, Jimin murmured, stepping closer, hands brushing against Jungkook's shoulders. Afraid of feeling, afraid of losing control, afraid of admitting you want me as badly as I want you. His lips hovered near Jungkook's ear, brushing lightly, and that's why this is so deliciously dangerous. Jungkook's knees went weak, heat pooled in his chest, a mixture of fear, desire, and longing that made every rational thought impossible. You're insane, he whispered, breath hitching. And you love it, Jimin countered, voice low, almost a growl. Admit it, you've wanted this. You've wanted me to see the real you, the parts you hide. And now I'm here, right in front of you, and you can't look away. Jungkook's fingers trembled as they brushed along Jimin's chest, his body betraying him even as his mind screamed for caution. I can't stop thinking about you, he admitted, voice raw, chest heaving. You've invaded every part of me. And I'll keep invading, Jimin whispered, lips brushing the curve of Jungkook's jaw. Until you finally surrender, until you learn that this chaos is where you belong. You wanted danger, desire, intensity. I'll give you all of it, even the parts that scare you the most. Jungkook's eyes widened as Jimin stepped closer, lips dangerously near, fingers tracing the line of his jaw with deliberate intent. And if it destroys me, he asked, voice low, trembling. Then we burn together, Jimin replied, voice soft yet unwavering. And if we survive, we'll be stronger than anything else out there. Stronger than fear, stronger than lies, stronger than the world itself. Jungkook's breath hitched. He wanted to retreat, to hide, to protect himself, but he couldn't. Desire had taken control. He let out a shuddering breath, leaning closer, surrendering to the heat, the chaos, and the intensity that Jimin carried like fire. And if I betray myself, Jungkook whispered, voice cracking, eyes wide, heart racing. Then we burn, Jimin said softly, brushing lips along his temple, down the curve of his jaw. Because some fires are worth the risk, some desires worth losing yourself in. The tension was unbearable, every nerve ending alive, every breath a spark, every glance an unspoken confession. Jungkook realized in that moment that he didn't want safety, he didn't want calm, he wanted chaos, fire, danger, and Jimin. And as the storm outside thundered against the windows, Jungkook let go completely. He surrendered to the pull, the fire, the desire, the danger. Every fear, every longing, every secret collided in a storm he could no longer resist. And in that surrender, he felt alive, exposed, unbreakable, and terrifyingly human. The apartment was nearly silent, except for the rain hammering against the windows and the low hum of the city below. Jungkook stood by the balcony, staring at the blurred lights, chest tight, fingers gripping the railing as if it were the only thing keeping him tethered to reality. Behind him, Jimin moved quietly, each step deliberate, a predator circling prey, a storm in human form. You've been avoiding me all day, Jimin said, voice low, teasing, dangerous. Don't tell me you're still pretending you don't want me. Jungkook turned, eyes wide, breath shaky. I can't stop thinking about you, he admitted, voice low, almost a whisper. It's overwhelming. You're everything I shouldn't want, everything I've been running from. Jimin smirked, stepping closer, letting the heat of his body wash over Jungkook. And yet, here you are, he murmured, facing me, trembling, wanting, admit it. You've wanted me from the moment you realized you couldn't have control. Jungkook's chest tightened, every rational thought scattered in the intensity of Jimin's presence. I don't know what I'm doing, he breathed, hands shaking, fingers brushing the railing. I've never felt like this before. That's exactly why it's perfect, Jimin replied softly, stepping closer until their bodies nearly touched. Because it's dangerous, raw and real, and I see you, every part of you. The scared, desperate, wanting parts you hide. That's what I crave. Jungkook's knees weakened. The tension between them was suffocating, every nerve in his body alive, every breath caught between fear and longing. You're insane, he whispered, voice trembling, and reckless, and you love it, Jimin interrupted, eyes dark, smoldering, magnetic. You've been craving someone who sees the real you, the fire, the shadows, the chaos inside you, and I'm here, right in front of you, daring you to surrender. Jungkook's hands shook as they brushed against Jimin's chest. His body betrayed him even as his mind screamed to stop. I can't resist you, he admitted, voice raw. You've invaded everything inside me. And I'll keep invading, Jimin whispered, lips brushing along Jungkook's jawline down the curve of his neck. Until you surrender, until you finally understand that fire is worth the risk. Jungkook's chest heaved. And if I burn, he asked, voice cracking. Then we burn together, Jimin said softly, pressing closer, forehead against Jungkook's. And when we rise, nothing will be able to touch us. Not fear, not lies, not anyone. Jungkook's breath hitched. And if I betray myself? Then we burn anyway, Jimin murmured, lips brushing Jungkook's temple, his hand trailing down the small of his back. Because some fires are worth it. Some desires worth losing yourself in, and you are mine. The confession made Jungkook's chest tighten painfully. Every boundary, every mask he had worn for years, crumbled under the weight of Jimin's gaze, the intensity of his touch, the audacity of his claim. He wanted to fight it, to resist, but his body and heart betrayed him completely. I don't want to hide anymore, Jungkook whispered. Voice shaking, leaning into Jimin, surrendering fully to the heat and chaos. I want you, all of this, all of you. Jimin's lips curved into a slow, wicked smile. Good, he murmured, capturing Jungkook's lips in a kiss that was both tender and scorching, dangerous and intimate. Every nerve in Jungkook's body ignited, every fear and longing colliding into an explosion of heat and desire. The kiss broke only briefly, foreheads pressed together, breaths mingling. Do you understand what we're doing? Jimin asked softly, voice thick with intensity. It's not just desire, it's confession, chaos, danger, and truth. Every touch, every word, nothing is innocent. I do, Jungkook admitted, voice trembling, eyes wide. And I don't care, I want it, I want you. And I want you, Jimin replied, a low growl in his throat, lips brushing along the line of Jungkook's jaw. Every part, every secret, every fear, every fire, you've been running from yourself for too long. Let me consume you. Jungkook's hands tangled in Jimin's hair, pulling him closer, surrendering to the storm between them. I'm yours, he whispered, voice shaking, body trembling. I can't fight it anymore. Good, Jimin murmured against his lips, pressing closer, hands trailing down to cradle Jungkook's hips. Because neither of us will survive without this fire, without this chaos, without surrender. The rain outside intensified, lashing against the windows like the rhythm of their heartbeats. Every fear, every longing, every hidden desire collided in a storm of heat, intimacy, and danger. Jungkook realized he didn't want safety, didn't want calm. He wanted the fire. He wanted the chaos. He wanted Jimin. And in that surrender, he felt something he hadn't in years. Alive, unbroken, exposed, and terrifyingly human. The city outside was quiet now, the rain reduced to a soft drizzle that tapped rhythmically against the window. Inside Jimin's apartment, the world felt suspended, every shadow, every flicker of light, every breath hung in the charged air between them. Jungkook stood at the center of the room, chest heaving, eyes wide, heart still pounding from the storm of emotions he had endured these past weeks. You've been holding back, Jimin said, voice low, magnetic, his gaze fixed on Jungkook like he could see straight into his soul. Every fear, every desire, every secret, I've watched you wrestle with it all, but tonight it ends. You either surrender or you run. Jungkook's throat tightened. I don't want to hide anymore, he whispered, the words raw, trembling. I can't pretend, not with you, not after everything. Jimin stepped closer, closing the distance until their bodies almost touched. The heat radiating off him was unbearable, intoxicating. Good, he murmured, voice low, almost a growl, because I want everything from you, not the walls, not the masks, not the fear. I want the real you. Jungkook's lips parted, a shiver running through him. And if I fall, if I break? You don't break, Jimin whispered, brushing his thumb along Jungkook's jaw. You burn, and I burn with you. Every part of you, the fire, the chaos, the fear, I want it all. You're mine, Jungkook, and I'm yours. The confession hit Jungkook like a lightning strike. Desire, relief, and fear collided in his chest, leaving him dizzy. He wanted to argue, to deny, to flee, but his body betrayed him completely. He stepped closer, letting Jimin's words anchor him, the electricity in the room thick and intoxicating. I'm yours, Jungkook whispered finally, trembling. All of me, I can't fight it anymore, I don't want to. Jimin's lips curved into a slow, triumphant smile, and he closed the remaining space between them, capturing Jungkook's lips in a kiss that was both searing and tender. Every nerve in Jungkook's body ignited, every fear and longing colliding into a storm of heat and surrender. He clung to Jimin, letting the chaos, the fire, the desire wash over him completely. When they finally pulled back, foreheads pressed together, breathing uneven, the silence between them was heavy with truth. Do you feel it? Jimin asked softly, voice low, intimate. The fire between us. Jungkook nodded, chest heaving. I feel it. I've never felt anything like this. Not fear, not desire, not love, all at once. Jimin's hand cradled the back of Jungkook's neck, thumb brushing gently. Then don't fight it anymore, don't run, don't hide. Whatever happens, whatever storms come, we face them together. You and me, fire and chaos, desire and truth, everything. Jungkook's lips curved into a shaky, vulnerable smile. Together, he whispered, letting himself finally feel the truth he had buried for so long. No more hiding, no more pretending. And in that moment, as the rain softened outside and the city's distant lights flickered across their bodies, the tension, the chaos, the desire, they all dissolved into a perfect, dangerous calm. Jungkook let himself surrender fully, body and soul, to Jimin. Every fear was met with fire, every longing met with touch, every secret met with acceptance. For the first time, he was unbroken, exposed, alive, and fiercely, intoxicatingly human. And in Jimin's arms, he knew he had finally found home in the storm. The night stretched endlessly, filled with whispered confessions, heated touches, and the quiet knowledge that nothing could ever pull them apart. Not lies, not fear, not the world outside. They had surrendered to fire, to truth, to each other, and in that surrender, they were invincible. And as dawn crept slowly across the horizon, painting the room in gold, Jungkook and Jimin remained entwined, alive in chaos, unafraid, and fully, utterly together.